Welcome to Shamanism, Metaphysics, and Grace. I'm Lauren Hubele, and I'm here interviewing Jyoti Wind. Welcome, Jyoti.
Well, I'm glad to be here, Lauren.
I'm glad you're here too, Jyoti. Jyoti, we're going to revisit this topic of soul retrieval today, and I think what I'd like to do is ask you to open up this sacred space for us first.
I'd love to. Grandmothers and grandfathers of the East, we call to you. We ask for that spark of recognition, of understanding for the day. Grandmothers and grandfathers of the South, we call to you. Thank you for this day, for the passion of our lives, for our appreciation of life. Grandmothers and grandfathers of the West, we call to you. We give thanks for all we are given. Grandmothers and grandfathers of the North, wisdom keepers of the North, we call to you. Teach us how to look upon what we see. Grandfather Sky, keeper of the starry night, we ask your protection in all things. Grandmother Earth, you whose cells we occupy, remind us of our own mercy and compassion. And to that wise being who lives in our hearts, may that being always be present. So I have something that struck me this morning that I'd like to read. It's called I Pray. Sometimes there is nothing I can do. The disaster is far away. The illness is in someone else's family. The discord is not mine to fix. All I can do is pray. I can send love. I can surround with white light for the best outcome those whose sole purpose I do not know. I cannot think I know those things. Who can know the purpose of another's soul journey here? I pray.
Thank you, Jyoti. So, a few episodes back, which feels like another lifetime,
Yes.
we talked about the different types of journeys. And in case someone's joining us for the first time, Jyoti, why don't you share a little bit about what a soul retrieval journey would be?
Well, from a shamanic point of view, there's times where we lose parts of ourselves, trauma, being publicly humiliated, and public is defined as one other person in the room besides you and the person who's humiliating you. And even in our relationships that sometimes don't end well, very romantically, we give a piece of our heart to another person, but if the relationship ends, do we think about getting that piece of our own heart back? The pieces that we give away or are stolen from us, in a sense, or that we lose, they can't help anyone else, but we're left without. And so we want to be as whole as possible wherever we stand on the planet at any given moment to make the choices and decisions that are upon us. And so we need our wholeness, we need our strength, we need our kind of 100%, you know. And so in soul retrieval, you or someone for you journeys into non-ordinary reality to find those pieces and bring them back and blow them into you, or you have them blown into your heart, and into the top of your head. And you are more whole and in, um, in possession of more of your energy and more of your pieces.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's how soul retrieval looks. However, there's different ways of, instead of formally journeying sometimes, it depends on your relationship with your allies, your compassionate spirits. And we all have them. It's just a question of, what type of relationship we have with them. And so, if we are trusting and we are open to how these beings can help us, then they pretty much consciously on our part we walk with them. They're with us all the time. It's not always a question of just doing a journey and going into a semi-trance state, into non-ordinary reality. It can be much less formal. So I had an experience recently, which kind of really brought this to mind, where I visited someone that I've known my whole life, and I knew I was there to get some pieces back from this person. And it was a saying goodbye. It was because the health of this person is deteriorating. And so I wasn't sure what it was going to look like, but I was open to it for the whole time I was visiting. And I had my allies, of course, with me and in communication with them. And I found myself off in a hallway, and the other people were doing other things, and I was standing there waiting, and all of a sudden a story from my childhood emerged. And I thought, those poignant stories, that family stories, those things you laugh at, and everybody thinks, oh, wasn't that cute, or whatever. But sometimes they're medicine stories. Sometimes they're things that one needs to look again at a second time and see what really happened there. So the storyline was that I was 3 months younger. We were put in a stroller together. Our mothers were friends, and it was joked upon that at one point she had teeth and I didn't, and she leaned over to kiss me and bit my bottom lip, which I'm sure was bloody. I had a scar there for my whole life. And wasn't that cute? And so from a shamanic point of view, all of a sudden I'm standing there in this hallway remembering that story. And from a shamanic point of view, I realized that I was bit and that some of my energy was taken in that moment. And maybe I was all of 8 months old, maybe I was 10 months old. Um, However, so there was a couple different lines of thought, like, all this time I've been without this specific piece. I need to look at this and I need to get it back. And so as I'm standing there in the hallway, I asked my allies to go and get that piece back of mine from this person I've known my whole life, and bring that part of me back to me, nothing of hers. Um, and so I did that. And then I had a conversation with somebody a couple days later, and she gave me a way to reframe it in a way of also that teeth carry DNA, and that she was giving me something of herself perhaps to help me through my childhood. I have no idea. So I know that I need to um, see if there's something that I have of hers. I have not done it yet, but I will. See if I have something of her energy that I need to return to her, so that each of us are whole, each of us can take on the next phases of our journeys with a wholeness and a sense of maybe larger or deeper perspective.
Mm.
So that's how simple a soul retrieval can be.
That's a beautiful share, Jyoti, and of course it elicits so many questions in me. I think the first is when you sent your protective spirits for your piece, did you have any shift or awareness after you received the piece or pieces back?
um, I felt like I didn't need to carry that story anymore. I mean, this is like releasing it, that I didn't need to carry that story anymore, that maybe even the scar would just be gone. Um, I felt different in the sense that I had changed something in my history. I didn't know the full effects of it yet. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for that energy that was given back to me to find its natural place in me, because it's been my whole life that it's been missing in a sense. So I really don't know the full impact. But I have an idea
Mm,
that it's very poignant and will help me expand.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, I think receiving our pieces back, it seems to me, can't help but expand us because we become more of who we are.
Yes.
My experience has always been that it opens me to a memory that I may have discounted, and that in that memory there were also some lessons for me, and it sounds like that was
Yeah.
true for you.
Yes. And, I had been there for 2 days and I kept asking my allies, asking inside myself, is there something here, something specific, something I'm not aware of that I need to retrieve while I'm here? Because chances are this is the last time I'm going to be in this person's presence. And nothing was forthcoming. And I was on my way. They were giving me a ride back to my hotel. The next morning I was flying out. So it was like the last moment of physical presence together, in a sense, that this was shown to me. And I just feel if I hadn't been there, I never would have thought of this storyline. I never would have thought of that instance from when we were kids.
Mm, beautiful. Yeah, I'd like to go back, if you wouldn't mind, to the bigger theme here of retrieving parts for ourselves, and the benefit and the purpose of this, and put it in context with this time that we're living in, because so many of us are facing unprecedented challenges.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Again, I just think that anything that you can do to retrieve or bring back energies that you've lost or lost touch with, or to kind of shore yourself up,
Mm,
would be advantageous. I mean, there's an old practice of going, driving by the places where you've lived and reaching out with the intention that I only am taking back what belongs to me from having lived there, and just reaching out and scooping that energy and putting it in your heart.
mm,
You don't need anybody else's stuff that can remain from whoever else lived there with you or before or after you, but you're just reaching out. And I've done that to different places I've lived here, other states, when I thought of it. And I just feel like that just adds another minuscule handful of cells energetically back to me.
Sure. And sometimes those memories or visiting a place we lived before happens in dreams.
Yes.
And I can't help but think that they're revealing to us, hey, come back here.
Yes.
There's something that belongs to you.
And that can be the residence, or it can also be the situation that
Mhm.
occurred there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, and folks have asked me before, how do if a soul journey is appropriate or not? What's your answer for that?
A curiosity about it,
Mhm.
what it is. Some people just seem to know when they hear it, like, I need that, or it can also be just, a person taking a personal inventory, of their life and looking at what their childhood was like, or, some publicly humiliating experiences in school, high school, college, on the job, somebody who swooped in and took the promotion right out of your hand, just as you were about to say yes. You know what I mean? I mean, that's soul loss. That's, on some level, all of that, and especially abuse, physical or sexual abuse in childhood. Um, all of that is a loss of energy, because people will tell you when they have those kind of experiences, well, it was just so painful, I couldn't be there, so I watched it from above my body. You know what I mean? Or I just went away to my happy place, that's a loss. That's a loss. Not only the going away, but also what happened when you went away to your body and your feelings, that you kind of said, I can't handle this. I don't want to see this, or I don't want to know about this. So it gets pushed into the unconscious. It gets pushed into the way far recesses of our memories. And so at some point, the healthiest thing you can do is either put yourself in therapy and work through it, and open yourself to the memories. And on that note, I just want to do a little sidebar. I find for most people that their minds really take care of them, because they won't have memories or flashbacks until their body, their sensibilities, their day to day life consciousness is really ready to deal with that, really ready to handle that. So, I mean, kudos to that part of them that protects them with not remembering what happened until they're really ready to begin to work through it.
Mhm. Yeah. So it sounds like there's a number of ways for folks to
Sure.
do this. It could be as simple as a visualization, putting
Yes.
yourself back there. It could be a shamanic journey where you're journeying with your animals, or you could work with a shamanic practitioner who journeys
Yes.
on your behalf.
Yes, and you also could work with a therapist, a psychotherapist. I mean, all roads lead to Rome eventually. We all get there wherever there is, and we work through our stuff. And I think that your intention to heal is the main driving force.
Mm.
Your intention to know. And sometimes you can't know. Sometimes the memories are buried so deep, or there was so much trauma that the mind is just absolutely protective and doesn't reveal anything. And so sometimes we don't know what happened, but there's this behavior in us, or these thoughts, or these feelings that something did. And so your intention to heal whatever it was, even without knowing what it was, has absolute merit, is the driving force, that intent, our intentions, our intent to heal, to become more whole, to um, satisfy the incarnation, you could say, why we're here.
Yeah. Sort of like that phrase that's so often used of to show up, right? Completely show up. But this is really taking it to its full essence.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes the reason we're here, maybe all the time, the reasons we're here, is to, work through things, but to come to a place of love and forgiveness. Some people don't go to forgiveness. Some people go to forgiveness, but not forgetting. Some people can forgive and not so much love the experience or the perpetrator, but just love the life they have come to be in contact with for themselves, you know. And I think that no matter what happens to us, and I know some people are put off by this because of their own suffering, granted, but I think that ultimately we're here to go through different kinds of situations and still have love in our hearts.
Yeah. And it's each one of those situations that make us who we are.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Jyoti, anything else on this theme you'd like to share?
No, I think that's it.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. It brought this to life.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm still working on it.
Yeah, we all are.
Yes.
So, listeners, I want to encourage you to explore this for yourself. And there are many different ways, as we mentioned, to do that. You can also reach out to Jyoti. She teaches courses that are ongoing. There's even a series sometime, I'm sure, in the future again for soul retrieval.
Yes.
And you could find out more about this on Jyoti's website and by emailing her and being in touch. And you can find that in the show notes. So, Jyoti, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Lauren. Have a good day.
Thanks.